Commissioner, Grover Norquist was in town yesterday talking about immigration. And he said, to the effect, paraphrase what he said, he basically said, you know, the Republicans have gotten a bad rap on immigration. We are not,
they have,
we're not hostile to sensible, reasonable immigration policy, and we need to reclaim that issue, and there's a course for us to steer that won't seem so unforgiving and so austere. This is an issue that you've actually put yourself out in front of for a number of years. In fact, separated yourself from many people in your party on.
Right.
Would you talk about where you are and where you think your party ought to be right now on this issue?
Well, the problem with our party and immigration has been we've reduced the entire issue to a bumper sticker, phrase such as no amnesty or build a fence or all those things that everybody can just kind of identify with and say, yeah, I agree with that, or secure our borders first. And while I'm not opposed to any of that, it's just overly simplistic. This last June, actually 2 years ago in the Republican convention, I spoke on behalf of the guest worker program. That's not a popular position at that time.
Yep.
This past June, I'm the only elected official who would stand up in front of a delegation of 8,000 Republican conservative delegates and speak in favor of a guest worker program. And as I walked up to the mic to do that, I thought, well, here's the end of a relatively decent political career, if you will use that term. And I spoke in favor of it on Friday night, and it passed.
Why are you right and they're wrong?
Well, actually, we're both right. Because as I said, it passed by a 3-to-1 margin,
right,
and then prevailed over several challenges subsequent to that evening. We're all right. What was needed at that time was someone to lead and to speak what everyone was thinking. And what's a problem in all parties, and in our party and others, is that we have too many people who are afraid to stand up and say what they really believe, and when you do that, you find that a majority of others believe it as well. I will tell you that most elected Republicans agree with me, but there aren't many of them standing up and saying it.
Why won't they say so?
Well, because it's called following versus leading. It's called, you know, which way is the mob going, therefore, if it's going that way, I need to get in front of them, as opposed to getting out front.
Okay, Commissioner, lead. Make the case. Why is a guest worker program the right thing, and more broadly, what should, in an affirmative sense, the party be for?
First of all, we should do, our immigration policy should be what benefits this country and this state. If it also benefits, you know, immigrants from another country, that's good. But primary, it's what benefits this country and this state. And a guest worker program is sorely needed, as it has been in the past. I have an August 1885 copy of the Galveston Daily News talking about a guest worker program. It's nothing new. There are employers in Texas who cannot find skilled employees to hang drywall, to bricklayers, carpenters, framers. Those skills are going, we don't have enough of them. So what we have now is an underground economy that is not paying taxes, that has no health insurance, that has an incentive to bring their family here from wherever because they can't cross the border with some frequency to go home and visit their family. We need to capture that population. We need to have them pay taxes. We need to, you know, obey our laws to be able to send money home. And then if we capture that population out of the 1.8 million or so undocumented, illegal, whatever you want to call them here in this country, we capture that population, those folks who want to work hard, pay taxes and obey our laws, then we can take our law enforcement resources and focus on the criminals. We take that universe down from 1.8 million here in Texas, or 11 million in the nation, and we take it down to those who are criminals, the coyotes, the people who are smuggler, the violent crime, and we have the same amount of resources chasing a smaller number. It makes us safer. It helps us secure our border. A guest worker program is part and parcel to securing our border. And we have a long history in Texas of illegal immigration.
Why is there opposition to it?
I think it's because, folks, it's a complicated issue, and when there's an issue that's complicated, the public tends to want to find a simplistic response, like secure our borders first. And that's not exclusive. Guest worker program is part of securing our borders first. Texas has a long history of illegal immigration. The first illegal immigrants were people who have names like mine, Smith, Jones, Patterson. When we came here in the 1820s and 30s, when you had no sponsorship of an impresario like Stephen F. Austin, we have a long tradition of illegal immigration, but it wasn't Hispanics initially.
What about path to citizenship? That seems to be a flashpoint as the conversation evolves federally.
I would factor that out. I mean, we want to get something done.
Right.
And the citizenship is extremely controversial. I would just factor it out. And if you look at the proposal that I spoke in favor of at the Republican convention, the only person to speak in favor of it that was elected, it did not talk about it. Citizenship was on the table. Let's get, again, what's best for this country, and what's best for this country is those skill sets that are not eligible for a visa. I mean, the problem is, they'll say, go home and get in line. Well, there is no line for a guy that wants to be a bricklayer or hang drywall. There is no line for that guy. So it's controversial because folks are looking for something simplistic.
Commissioner, you've obviously been thinking about and talking about this issue for many years. We've just demonstrated that. But there's a line of argument that the Republicans have suddenly gotten comfortable with the idea of comprehensive immigration reform, whatever the details of it are, purely as a response to their shellacking in November. The fact that Governor Romney only got 27% of the Latino vote. Nationally, Republicans realize that if they don't figure out some way to speak in a softer and more respectful voice to the Latino community, that electorally they're going to have enormous problems. So that they've gotten to this place really through cynicism more than through understanding that this is a good thing for the country. What do you say about that?
Well, that may be some, but that's not me.
Yeah. Well, as we said, you've been talking about it for a lot longer.
But, to some extent that has merit. That argument makes sense. It's unfortunate, but there have been a lot of folks, and as evidenced by what happened last June, when I spoke, expecting for that to go down in flames, and it passed by 3-1.
Right.
We've had this idea that what we're doing is not working for a very long time. There was just no one that would step up and enunciate that.
But Commissioner, if there are so many people, as you say, 3-1 among the folks there, who are reasonable on this issue, why is the perception, surely you'll acknowledge that there's a perception that somehow the Republican Party is hostile to Latinos?
Well, I think that,
why is that?
That 3-1 margin would not have been there 4 years ago.
Right.
Because as discourse becomes more prevalent among the Republican Party with people with different opinions, then folks are amenable to
it. Has the party been hostile to Latinos, do you think?
I think it's been hostile to immigration based upon the fact that they believe that, we're a country, a rule of law, and I agree with that. But there is no law that allows, a guy that wants to hang drywall to come here and do that.
Okay.